Welcome to the High Performance Gym, the personal and business development podcast for health coaches and personal trainers. My name is Key Witherspoon, former personal trainer and gym owner turned high performance coach and lifestyle entrepreneur. My mission is to help coaches develop their entrepreneurial qualities and the business to create a freedom-focused lifestyle. I believe we all have a uniqueness that we need to unleash to achieve this, and this is your genius. Each week, I'll be bringing you an inspiring person or message to help you perform at a higher level so you can become a confident and resilient coach to build the business of your dreams. So thanks for tuning in today, and I hope you enjoy the show. So welcome to the High Performance Gym. So if you're listening today, I'm joined with Steve Sharp. Steve has got a really good story, and Steve has got an amazing journey that he's going to share with us now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually let Steve jump in. And actually, before we do this, I do need to apologize. I've had COVID the last few days. A few weeks ago, I had COVID, and I'm still coughing my guts up. So if I do cough, I do go for a drink. I'm not being ignorant. It's still irritating us.
Yeah, how you got your taste and your smell back yet?
I didn't actually lose my taste,
Oh,
which I'm so pleased about because that was my biggest worry because I love food.
yeah.
To lose my taste would have been horrendous. I had a bit of a bad smell. I could smell the virus. It was really weird. I've never had anything like it in my life. Like when I was like sniffing in, breathing in, it was just this awful, like deathly smell. It was horrible.
Sounds lush.
That's gone though. I'm quite pleased about that.
Yes. Yeah.
So Steve, you can just give us a little bit of an introduction to who you are.
Yeah, so I'm Steve Sharp. I am the owner of Unique Fitness Northeast, which is behind us here. I've run Unique Fitness Northeast officially. I got the keys in November 2014. I officially opened it in March 2015, and we've been going ever since. Pretty lucky to come through the last year. It's tough on all gyms, as you can imagine. So yeah, I've been here, 6 years now. Going pretty well. We're made up of amateur sports clubs, so we're not just a typical sort of gym. We're made up of North Tyneside Barbells, which is a weightlifting club, powerlifting, Olympic style lifting as sports, not just recreational. Tyneside Boxing Club, so for amateur boxing. And we also sponsor and help out the local football club, which is Wilton Key Saints, just across the road there. So yeah, we house a lot of specialist coaches, a lot of clubs, and we've kind of took on the role of just helping manage these clubs, let the coaches essentially be coaches and stop worrying about the governance and the constitutions and the methods and all the funding and things that go with running an amateur sports club. So it's going pretty well for at the minute. On that front, we've got kids coming in from as young as 6, trying the sports, all the way up to masters ages 35 plus. So it's going all right in the sporting front.
Nice.
Gym wise, pretty much, what we're doing. That's what it says on the tin of the gym. We're no different than any other gym, really. We do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Strength training. We delve in a little bit of CrossFit, although we don't like to call it CrossFit.
What do you call it?
We call it functional fitness.
Functional fitness.
Just because we don't want to pay massive CrossFit fees, but
of course,
it's one of them. I mean, to be fair, what CrossFit it's just like a label on everything else, isn't it? It likes to take a little bit of everything else, all the other modalities, and call it something fancy and then claim it.
I'm actually interested in, because I'm not against CrossFit. I think the concepts of CrossFit are really good. Like I like how they kind of mix it up and they build strength work and these type of things. There's things I would change in it if it was me doing it personally. But from somebody like yourself, who is a big advocate for weightlifting, what is your probably the one I'm going to go with? What is your thoughts around putting Olympic lifting into a more conditioning based setup?
I think it's done wonders for weightlifting, to be fair. Like the amount of CrossFitters who are now starting to go to weightlifting coaches and go to weightlifting clubs to improve their weightlifting for CrossFit is sent weightlifting right into the mainstream. You know what I mean? It's skyrocketed the sport in this country anyways. So yeah, I'm pretty happy that CrossFit's done that. As far as the programming goes, it all depends on the individual in the gym, doesn't it? Some gyms are getting it right, some gyms are getting it wrong. It's all down to programming. If it's done correctly, then it's a really valuable way of training. I do all Olympic weightlifting with all of our boxers, and pretty much any sportsman. Any sport with a triple extension involved, weightlifting is going to benefit. So we use it quite a lot. To what degree we teach them, again, depends on their need for it. I'm not going to teach a boxer a full snatch, but will I teach him to power clean? Probably, yeah. So it's one of them. But I think CrossFit overall it's brought weightlifting into the limelight a little bit. So I'm pretty pleased with that.
It got a lot of stick, didn't it? Because there was a lot of people doing the Olympic lifts, but they were doing them with horrible technique. And I think that is so great what you just touched on there, that actually bringing coaches into it to improve their technique, which obviously gives them exposure. I mean, CrossFit's probably the biggest exposed sort of modality or what in the world, isn't it?
So moving away from weightlifting anyways, they seem to be doing all the CrossFit, the strongman stuff now. I was watching the other day carrying like big soft Husserfeld stones or sandbags or whatever. So they start to play with strongman stuff now. So they're leaving weightlifting alone a little bit. But I mean, I've been watching all the weightlifting on the Olympics. I've literally just watched the super heavies there. And then I watched the snatch session at the CrossFit Games last week, Friday, Saturday. And some pretty good athletes popping up weights that would qualify them at national level. You know what I mean? Tia Toomey or whatever she's called, she competed for Australia at the Commonwealth Games. So it plays a massive part in the sport. If we're calling CrossFit a sport, but it plays a massive part of it.
I think it just comes down as long as they have a good coach and teacher, isn't it? It's like anything. If you've got a bad football coach, then chances are you're not going to get very good at football. You're probably going to get injured. If you've got a good football coach, then you're going to progress, isn't it? And I suppose weightlifting is definitely the same, but it's very technical, isn't it?
Oh, massively. I've always said to all my weightlifters, good weightlifters will make great CrossFitters. Good gymnasts, like even an average gymnast, will make a great CrossFitter because they've got that background behind them. So if you focus, because you can build an engine pretty quickly. It's not going to take you long to sort of get used to adapt to the air bike or row machine or running and things there. But it takes years and years to build strength and technique in a sport as technical as weightlifting or gymnastics. So you can get those boxed up early on. You're going to walk into a CrossFit gym and be in a pretty good stead.
I love it. Like, I love your business model. And I didn't realize this is what actually you've done until you'd sent me over your bio. But because you just saying before, you combine these other sports into your facility, don't you? And I think it's a really unique, obviously unique fitness, but it's a unique way of actually where you're helping the community, but you're building this business with a totally different business model.
Yeah. So a lot of our coaches, the clubs generally don't make a lot of money. There's, a lot of people do boxing, but it's not really a rich man's sport. So the subs are pennies. Weightlifting, it seems to be moving. It seems to be getting more expensive to compete in weightlifting. However, it's not as popular. So the money just isn't there funding wise. So the way we run it is we don't really charge the clubs a lot to use our facilities, but what they do, is to work within the gym and deliver specialist classes. So our weightlifting coaches, they may volunteer to coach weightlifting, but then they'll teach classes for the gym in specialist manners. They'll deliver foundational courses in weightlifting. They'll teach the weightlifting elements of the functional fitness classes or the strength and conditioning classes. The boxing coaches will then deliver like a women's only recreational boxing or like a boxer size class. So it works in everybody's favour. They're getting space to do whatever they want, run an amateur club, but then they hand back to us by delivering specialist classes that I necessarily won't be able to teach, or my generalized fitness coaches won't be able to teach. So it works for everyone, really.
And I suppose for your members coming in as well, like if you're bringing members in, like say the average Joe, they're coming in and they've got a choice then, haven't they? So they could probably go in your gym, but then obviously they see the weightlifting, they see the boxing, and it opens up more opportunities for them as well, I would imagine.
It's a nice buzz on club nights. So we'll have kind of like nights where it's mainly just sort of gym-based classes, and then we'll have nights where it's mainly like the clubs come in, operate. There's a nice buzz on club nights when the boxing lads are in and the weightlifting lot are in, and it's quite a good buzz in the gym. It's nice to see. And like you say, people come in and they see all these different things happening, and they might come in for one reason. They might come in and start boxing, and then they'll add up one session of strength training a week, and then they'll just start shifting over and they'll come away from boxing, start weightlifting, and they just sort of circulate in the gym. So it's good for retention as well. We very rarely lose people. We just sort of switch modalities, if you will.
That's an amazing kind of way to keep people, definitely, because I suppose, well, I know for myself from having my gym, it's you've got to keep that attention for people, don't you? You've got to keep it interesting,
Yeah.
you know, especially in a gym environment, because you want people long term. You don't want just to have somebody for 8 weeks and then them disappear. You want people in your business long term, don't you? So touching on, because it's still a big subject at the minute, and you mentioned it before about COVID. Like, if you don't mind talking about this, how did it impact your business at all? I imagine it probably did, because there's loads of gyms like closed, and it's so sad to see that. And hopefully that'll change now. Now we're kind of open back up. But what was the impact for you guys?
I think, any gym owner will be lying if they say it hasn't affected them in some way. For us, it was, we're quite established, having been around for 6 years, and we've got quite a big solid membership base. So we managed to convert a lot of those guys online. At the time, we were busy working on the website, trying to, bring our website into the modern era, because it did a job. It advertised, but it didn't really do anything. It didn't sell anything. It wasn't very interactive. So we're working on this website in order to be a bit more interactive and a bit more automated for it. And I remember 2 or 3 weeks, when I started noticing the news starting to go a little bit south, and there was talk about these lockdowns. I remember ringing the website developer and saying, right, we need a members area yesterday. What can we do? Even if it's just some sort of private blog page where I post videos or links to, I don't care what it is, but we need something. And, the guy pulled out the bag. He came up with this private members area. And essentially what we did was, for any member that maintained the membership, we got access to it. And we were just uploading videos each day, each week, doing live sessions via the streams in the gym. And, I think pretty much 90% of the members stayed, or just froze the membership, or went to like a discounted rate. So we retained quite a lot. And it was good fun shooting all the videos. The gym essentially turned into a film studio. We had cameras and lights set up and that, and it was pretty cool for a while. It got boring after a while for the coaches. But what I was most worried about was the coaches. Some of them only did it part-time and worked in like hospitality or leisure. So they lost out on both fronts. Some of them are working in pubs as well as working in the gym. And everyone seemed to lose out. So it gave me an opportunity to keep coaches working by offering them virtual classes and things like that. And it really made me look into the virtual world. So we took on things like Boxmate, which had great virtual features. It means the members could sort of see the workouts from home or from the phones. My Zone stuff that we have going in the gym, did like what's the word? Almost like a distance version where we could have it on in the gym and we could see everybody at home's heart rates and things like that. So as long as they had the app in the belt. So it made me really sort of streamline the business, trim the fat of the things that were just costing money that we weren't really using. And it kept engaged. It kept in front of our members, we're on the members' tellies, we're on the members' laptops, on the phones pretty much daily. So it kept going. And a lot of the feedback was that the members just sort of felt like they weren't forgotten about, which was nice. We did a lot of talks on just sort of how people were getting on, what they were up to, even if they weren't engaging with the actual fitness classes. Were they engaging in like the little daft quizzes that we're doing on a Friday night, or the talks that we're doing on a lunchtime, even if it was just me yapping to 0 live streamers. People were generally watching it at a later date and responding at some point. So it worked quite well. But yeah, it wasn't easy, because the benefit of having a private facility instead of like a council run facility is, we'll get away with a lot, and kind of our own boss, and we'll run the show as the building and the land. But at the same time, we didn't really get much relief, if any, when it came to the bills. And then it was all sort of fell on my head rather than sort of the income and the rent from the clubs and the PTs.
Yeah. So
that was a big hit. But I just couldn't morally charge money for what I could offer the coaches and the clubs. So it was it was a long 9 months, I think it was, in the end.
But do you think it's actually helped you grow as a business owner? And do you think it's actually helped you grow? Do you think it's helped your business in the long run? I'm not talking from a financial perspective at the minute, but maybe like the relationship you've built stronger with your members. Do you think it's helped you?
relationship wise, I think it's helped me personally more than anything. I actually have a life outside of the gym, which I didn't realize until COVID. You know, when the gym wasn't a thing, and wasn't actually required to be here.
What is
Turns
this
out
outside world?
turns out I've got quite a nice little life when I actually live it. So yeah, I got experience outside. Kind of took a little step back from work. I've come back from COVID really prioritizing things. Have my working week set out now, and I'm strict in the way I deal with it. So I'm in the gym a lot less, but the time I am in the gym, it's important work. It's I'm spending a lot less time doing the day-to-day stuff and getting mixed up in all the gym floor crack and all that sort of stuff. And I'm a bit more steering the ship, looking a bit further afield. So that's been a nice change. And I think I was only able to do that because we had to step back and I could see the gym for what it was and where we were falling down and all the improvements that I probably wanted to make for a long time, but was just buried and snowed under with, like I say, the day to day, the week to week. Just didn't really have a chance to do. I mean, the whole place has been redecorated and like just little things like that, paint work, stuff that I needed doing, but just wasn't getting done. So probably the best and worst thing that's ever happened to this place. It made if anything, it made us feel like year one and year two again. You know, when you've got that little bit of passion about you and you're just fired up all the time, it kind of made us switch on a little bit. I wasn't, no days I was complacent, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I quite didn't enjoy it, but I'm enjoying who I am and what the gym is now coming out the back of it.
But sometimes you need that like fiery lit, don't you? You need something to happen to reassess and reflect on what's happening, and then go, wow, like I've got this passion again. Now I can go back into it, and you, like I say, year one and two, you're off your face, aren't you? You're just you're just trying to get everything done. It's amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
You're just never tired, are you? Just every morning, like 10 p.m., 6 a.m., 10 p.m., 6 a.m. You're just never tired. You love it. Doors up, everything's buzzing, and then you start to get a bit tired, and you get a bit older, and it's a bit different. But no, it made me really switch on and appreciate the members as well a bit more because they're stuck by us. We give honest feedback about what we're doing and what they needed from us. And I'd like to think we acted on it. So it's
nice. Well done.
Forward, it's good. It's been good.
I want to come back in just a second to the business owner side of things, but before we do that, and this is like hugely important, especially for this podcast. Why do you do what you do? Why did you get into it, and why do you do it? I'll just rephrase that a little bit because I want to just paint some context for anybody who's listening now. You actually started off as a PT working in DW, didn't you?
Yes.
So could you just tell us like what that was like, why you went into that, but then it's completely different to what you're doing now?
Yeah. A lot of people don't actually believe you when you tell them why. You know, when people say, I'm passionate about this, people go, nah, it can't be that. It must be money. It must be this. It must be that. I actually was in a total different lifestyle. I essentially ended up on a PT course off the back of a failed military career. I was, trying my best to be a soldier. It didn't really work out. And then on a resettlement course, they paid for me to do one of those, you can't fail PT courses where you're guaranteed a job. I mean, I did sort of like A-level biology and physical education and things like that. So I had a little bit about it, which I got an A in, by the way.
Nice.
So I did that course. So I wasn't quite sure. By the time I came out of the forces, the lads who I went to college with had passed their degrees in sports development and coaching and things like that. So I was at home, didn't really have a job, and they were all applying for jobs. And one of my mates come over to my house, and he was applying for jobs on my computer. And I says, "Oh, there's a job going at DW." He was a PT, and he didn't quite fancy it. And he was like, "I've got a degree in this. I'm looking for more like sports science kind of S&C sort of work." And I was like, all right, yeah, no, but he left and I just thought, I just put a punt on it. And I thought, I'll apply for that. And then they said, you need this, you need that. And I had learning credits and things from the forces. So they put us through that, and I got interviewed by DW and started as a PT, green as grass. I remember hitting the floor. I met a guy called Mark Betton on week 1, who's been about a little bit, most recently at CrossFit Black Sheep. He's kind of gone out on his own now. And he was just a sound bloke, and ended up teaching at DW for a little while. I don't like to admit this, but I taught Insanity. Remember the Insanity DVDs?
Yes,
I
Sean
was,
T.
so he started doing a live version, and I think DW bought the exclusive rights at the time. So they had like the only classes in the UK for the first 6 months, a year of it hitting the UK. And the manager came to DW and went, anyone want to do this course? I was just a yes man back then. I was just like, yeah, I'll do it. I was saying yes to everyone. Want to lose weight? Yes. Want to gain muscle? Yes. Want to do this? Yes, I'll do it. You know, which now I would say, you know, don't be that person. But when you have to pay 550 quid a month rent, and you're absolutely green as grass, and you've got no skills, each person was like a case study. And I think if you treat each like client like that, yeah, you might not have come across them before, but if you treat them as a learning opportunity, then, you know, go for it. So I was learning on the job, and I knew I had to learn quickly, because DW was like a shark tank, man. There was some really good PTs there back in 2013.
Right.
You know, a lot of them have their own facilities now, or studios, and doing really well for themselves. So I'd like to, you know, think I'm one of those guys that have sort of come out the commercial gyms and done all right. Did a little bit with famous Gary Nash from ODFC. I forgot to mention that in my bio. And he's had some giants working for him. Andy Coulson, Jordan Wallace, Jamie from Method. Method Training, Tyneside are some of the biggest gyms in the Northeast. So I've been amongst good people the entire time I've been doing this job, you know.
So you've been massively influencing, haven't you? Like, in a good way.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, Christ, I used to look up to you guys as well at Constant, when you were working at Spartan and things there. I used to constantly watch what you guys were doing, and it was brilliant. You know, if you constantly want, like, have that white belt mentality, it doesn't take long before you can start to command yourself a little bit of respect, and like walk into gyms a bit more confidently and take on clients that you've never seen before. So it's yeah, I'd like to think I've watched the best and learned from them, because they're all doing really well for themselves. All the people that I sort of watched back in the day, it's made good choices.
Absolutely. So then that was where you were a PT, in a commercial facility. Then you obviously don't do that now. So what was that switch in mindset to say, well, this is what I want to do? There has to be an underlying reason, doesn't there?
So a lot of my sort of background is like gymnastics. So as a youth athlete, I did a lot of gymnastics. And then that came hand in hand with weightlifting at the time. Did a little bit of weightlifting. I mean, nothing major, but sort of weightlifting was that one thing that really sparked my excitement. I like the idea of, you know, getting stronger. You know, and it was quite an athletic sport. I sort of really warmed to it. I've always been a bit of a more powerful trainer, like jumps and plyometrics and things like that. So I kind of really took to weightlifting. Tried to teach it at DW. Was never allowed. The plates just weren't designed for Olympic weightlifting. The floor wasn't really good upstairs. And then we started a thing called OLC, Olympic Lifting Club, at ODFC. Gary let us have the floor, and he pretty much designed the floor to be one huge platform. So it was like strip of mats, strip of wood, strip of mats, strip of wood. We started running Olympic weightlifting there, and it took off. You know, like I say, the CrossFit was starting to really trickle into Newcastle at the time. You had Tyneside, which was just sort of quite fresh. It was only a couple of years old. You had CrossFit Northumbria, which had kind of just been born. And Olympic lifting was starting to really trickle in. And at the time, there was only Gateshead Stadium, Ashington, and a lady called Vika that was doing it. So I thought I'd try my hand at it.
She did really good weightlifting, didn't she?
Oh, Vika's insane. There was three. Gateshead Stadium had Hamid Masavi, Vika, and Keith Trebelko. You know, and all three of them are fantastic weightlifting coaches. Vika doesn't really have a club anymore. Keith teaches up at Ashington, and Masabi has a club called Q. And they're all, you know, phenomenal weightlifting coaches for the Northeast. So I thought, I'll try. A bit of blast. And OLC was kind of doing really well. It was just seniors, it was just adults. And then I kind of started getting the bug for doing it myself. My client base was kind of moving with us wherever I went. So, if I went to a different gym from DW, my client base would come with us, and I kind of trusted that no matter where I went, they would come with us. So found a little unit in Howden, and there was a boxing club in the same estate that was kind of needing a new home. So we took a punt on it, took on the space. The boxing club moved in. We kind of halved the space. And North Tyneside Barbells was born. And we kind of just went with it there. It wasn't really picking up a lot of speed until I did an athletic development course, and it was aimed at children, and 4 kids came in. We had a rugby player, a hockey player, a dancer, and then a kid that just wanted to try weightlifting. And 3 of them still lift today. One of them lives out in Bali. One of them's just been accepted to the Falcons Rugby Academy. Another plays for Whitley Bay Warriors hockey, and the other carried on through weightlifting. All 3 of those boys are all national youth champions, and one of them is on the pathway to the British squads for weightlifting.
Awesome.
So we're all still lifting 6 years later.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it just took off from there. Because everyone sees these kids now lifting huge weights, but it's took a long time to get there. But it's just kind of steel sharpens steel. So once you get a couple of good kids, everyone just wants to sort of come with it. And then obviously as the gyms got bigger, parents have started bringing the kids, CrossFitters have started bringing the kids, and a lot of CrossFit gyms do CrossFit kids sessions now, so bringing them in. So yeah, it's, as the gyms grew, the clubs have grew from it. I genuinely think that the clubs wouldn't have survived if it hadn't been for the gym. Like the gym sort of brings in the steady stream of members, and then they see the weightlifting and they want to give it a try, or they see the kids and they want to bring their kids. Because it's a sport you don't really get to see that often at schools or anything like that. It's just been accepted by books, really, the university and colleges. And we're hoping to unroll a Raise the Bar project for schools going forward into next term, September. So it's getting there, but up until recently, it wasn't very well known as a sport, especially
I think
for kids.
It's a phenomenal sport.
Did you watch the Super Heavies just before?
I didn't. I couldn't get it. It was pay-per-view, isn't it?
Yeah. So
but I know there was a world record. There was the guy from Georgia.
3. Yeah.
3.
He broke 3 world records. He snatched 223, clean and jerked 265. I think that was a 488 total. 12 kilos or 500 kilos over his head.
That's insane. It's phenomenal, isn't it? But I think what's amazing about it, like people watch it and they're like, oh, like you're lifting heavy. I remember when I was training the kids, I would get parents and they're like, should he be lifting that weight? And obviously you would educate them on how to do it. And it's all about the movement and the proficiency of it. But it's actually one of the safest sports, isn't it? If you compare it to things like rugby and football, the injury rate is literally non-existent compared to these other sports.
Yeah, and again, you can argue that down to participation. So obviously numbers are going to be bigger, but you're right, because it's such a focused sport, you're very rarely going to get coaches letting these kids just throw bars over their head without any sort of cues or coaching. Kids don't have an appreciation for kilograms. They will just try the bar if you let them. They haven't got any fear either. They'll just dive under these bars regardless of what.
They're crazy, aren't they?
So it's you've got to be on them. So yeah, we restrict the amount of kids that we can have lifting at one time. We've got room for more platforms, but I won't put any more than 3 platforms in, because then I can stand down the line and I can watch just 3 kids lift at a time. We've got safety measures in place for that sort of stuff.
So why kids and what? And obviously that's what you kind of transitioned to. Is there any particular reason that you went for that?
They're so much easier to coach than adults. They just haven't got any bad habits, have they? It's just
kind of mold them into what you want to be.
They listen to you for one. They don't have bad habits. They actually want to be there. They're not doing it because they feel like they have to lose weight, or they've got some sort of hidden agenda doctors told them, or they're a lot more in the moment, and they're a lot more like they're doing it just for the fun of it, which then brings back the fun in me. You know what I mean? It is quite hard when you're doing a job that you're supposed to love constantly. It takes the love out of it sometimes. I don't know about you, but when you work and train and eat and sleep in the gym, and it just becomes a bit monotonous. But then you'll have some kid walk in raw, just smash a weight over the head, and it's like it just picks the hairs up on the back of your neck again. It makes you think, this is why I do that. You know, it's each one of them just re-inspires you, because it's like starting from scratch again. Whereas I think sometimes the seniors, it's, you know, they don't get any less love, but it's a bit, they're doing it because, you know, for health reasons, or because there's a lot of mental health behind reasons for wanting to get fit and get strong and lose weight, isn't there? So there's a lot of agendas with seniors at that level, which is a shame. You know, we do try to tackle that sort of stuff as much as we can here, but you're never going to get through to some people when it comes to body dysmorphia and things like that. But with kids, it's just, you just know exactly why they're there. They're just genuinely doing it because they absolutely love it. I think I connect with that. Just, yeah.
They're great to train on. I mean, I've coached kids for years, and one of the things I got them into was Olympic lifting, because I think when you can show them a complex movement like that, you know, things like snatching and clean and jerking, you have to be able to move right, and the confidence in them just absolutely explodes, doesn't it? It's just, you know, when they get that first snatch or the first clean, you can just see that the eyes just, you can just see that like click, that light bulb, and they're like,
Yeah.
yes, and the confidence just explodes. It's amazing.
It's great when you like, because they're just so like loose and like bandy. They're like, it's like trying to tense spaghetti, isn't it? They're just so like loose when they're moving, and then when they start like snapping into positions, and you just think, wow, like, it looks class. They're like little sponges as well. You tell them something, and it's just like, boom, there you go. What's interesting though is I've gone through a couple of generations now, and the amount of times you have to reteach kids from like 13 to 17, because they have that huge peak growth curve, and like arms get longer, legs get longer. You see it all the time. The boxers come in, they'll go to punch the bag, and it's like it hits them too soon because they're a couple of inches longer, and they're like, ooh. You have to reteach them everything. It's like you teach them 5 different techniques from 13 to 17 because they're just constantly growing. It's
go through like an awkward sort of like a stumbling phase, don't they? Especially if they have that massive growth spurt. I remember a lad who I was coaching at the gym, and he must have spent 2 years. He was just like, he was tripping over his own 2 feet and everything.
Proprioception just goes out the window, doesn't it?
It does, but I think, but the thing is, because we were constantly like teaching him how to adapt to it, it helped him in his life. Because I think if he hadn't have done that, he would have been very self-conscious. But because the fact we actually helped him with that and coached him through it, he was just like, yeah, I mean, it did hinder his development in terms of the lifting and what he was doing in the gym, but it helped him in life. It helped him with that.
Oh, totally. Like, I'd like to think weightlifting supports all sorts of sports. So I never like to make kids choose. So if you're playing football, play football. Get in and do some weights when you can. It'll only help you play football. Play hockey. Weightlifting will only help you play hockey. And I've never sort of said to a kid, right, you're going to have to choose. It's them or me type thing. It's football or weightlifting. I'd like to think that weightlifting supports everything else. So it's hard. It's robust training. You've got to have a little bit of a mental edge about you to constantly throw yourself under heavy bars and squat. You're always aching, and then you've got to then go and play football after squatting the night before and things like that. So it just creates mental toughness, and it gives them a little bit about themselves. It gives them that edge when they go and play team sports or something, that them, especially at a younger age when kids are sort of just finding the strength. If you've got a kid that walks onto a rugby pitch and he's back squatting 100 kilograms at 13, 14-year-old, he's just going to push scrums over. So it's interesting to see. And like you say, the confidence skyrockets. I won't say much for the other kids on the pitch, but the confidence skyrockets, and you get quite mature little individuals coming back and after a few years, and it's nice to see. It sets them up for life, doesn't it?
Absolutely does. So what's the difference between your mindset going in as what you said, green as grass personal trainer in a commercial facility, like, to then coaching kids to develop in the sport? Like, what was the difference?
In a word, patience. Like, patience is massive. I think when I was, you want results now, don't you? When you first start, it's like a results game. You're trying to prove yourself, and you want to be the best at this and best at that, and everyone kind of wants that quick fix. So it was a case of let's get results in 6 weeks, let's get results in 8 weeks, we'll drop a dress size, we'll put 10 kilos on your deadlift. And I think you do sell your soul a little bit in the early days. I know I did. I'll hold my hands up a little bit. Patience now. I've seen the system that we've got here work, and I know it's going to work again and again and again. Yeah, it may need tweak for certain individuals, but our system, when it comes to weightlifting anyways, it works. We've produced, champion after talent. And not all of these kids are going to be weightlifters, but we've then got kids who are coming in from 6-7-year-olds who can't, by the way, like 7-year-olds at the moment in general are useless. Like they can't stand on one leg, can't catch a ball, can't climb a tree. Like, when did this start happening?
Exactly.
PE is just not the same anymore.
It's not.
So you're taking kids who can't catch a ball, and then you're getting them to throw barbells over their head in such a multi-joint movement. It's insane. So yeah, I think patience. I get a kid come in now, and they might get upset at the first session. They might, cry. They might not like it. They might have little tantrums. Just a bit more patient, because I've seen it all before. Like one of my best weightlifters was a nightmare to coach as a development lifter. He was horrible, and now he's one of the most switched on kids I know, and he's just keen, and he wants to volunteer to help the coach the little kids and things like that. So yeah, I'm a lot less stressy. I don't think I'm trying to prove anything anymore. I've realized these, probably the first set of kids that went through, it's a bit like a first child, isn't it? The first child gets the hard route, and then as the generations go by, they get a little bit even easier life. Because I think I'm just not in a rush anymore. I know they are eventually going to back squat. They are eventually going to clean at some point. Just not in a rush to make them anymore.
And that's the thing. That's so important, because I think like a lot of personal trainers miss this, and this is one of the messages that I try to deliver. It's if you can solve a specific problem, you become good at solving that problem. Like I said yourself, when you first start training kids, you're just like, what the? It's like, but then you start understanding the problem. You start understanding how the process works. And what you said before is perfect. A system. You build that system, or whether this system is kind of in your head of how it formulates, or whether you have this written down or whatever it is, the fact is you have this system. So any kid comes through, you know what to expect.
Yeah.
You become the best then at solving that problem. And then guess what? When anybody, and people think of problems as people having problems, but a kid who wants to develop the confidence and have better abilities, that's a problem, isn't it? It's a problem that you solve.
Yeah.
Hi, just Kia here, jumping in real quick. Let me ask you a quick question. Are you serious about building and growing a personal training or a health coaching business? Because if you are, then I have a free gift for you. See, the biggest thing that holds people back is the mindset. It's the limiting beliefs. It's the self-doubt. It's these things that really get into your head and stop you from progressing forward. It's self-sabotage. Now I have a free gift. It's 7 mindset blocks stopping you from getting clients. In here, I'm going to give you the 3 biggest things you need to develop a successful business. Confidence, clarity, which in the end is going to bring you clients. Clients are the lifeblood of your business. So if you want to get this sorted now, then download my free guide. The link is in the show notes.
Well, it's just evolved, like from like I say, just a little bit, what's the word? Blagging it a little bit to actually we're onto something here. We're doing quite well. Like I turned up at my first ever development and youth national championships with I think 5-6 lifters. I didn't even have a coaching license. I turned up with these kids thinking, oh, we're just going to turn up, we're going to have some fun, we're going to go home. I got stopped at the door. Like, you can't come in here. Like, this is a national tournament. You haven't even got a coaching license. Like, but the kids can come and lift because they're all weightlifters. So I'm coaching these kids via
Do we even let you in the
FaceTime.
facility?
Well, I was in the crowd. I was allowed in the crowd.
Right.
So I'm coaching these kids from FaceTime. They're in the warm-up room with a chaperone, and I'm FaceTiming these kids. I come back with 3 gold medals, 2 silvers, and a bronze. And then I got the David Gent at the time. He was the director of British Weightlifting at the time. Pulled us to one side and went, "Look, you need to get this sorted. We're going to help you." But as got my license sorted, and now I've got a role within British Weightlifting, and we've just become one of only 10 talent academies in the UK for weightlifting. We're the only talent academy north of Manchester. That's in Scotland and England. So
that's a huge achievement.
From going from the bad boy of British weightlifting to now working for them and actively playing a role within the participation in the of the Northeast. So it's been quite a journey.
That's amazing, and that's actually what I want to touch on now. That same type of thing, because I don't know whether you actually know this, but I'll explain. I'll give a bit of context to it. A lot of personal trainers struggle with that experience thing. I say, well, I'm not good enough to do that yet, and I have to do X, Y, and Z before I can do that, and blah blah blah. They start talking them out of things. But like, when we first met, was it back in 2012, 2013, wasn't it? Something like that.
Is that when we had the little tournament here?
No, when you came to concerts, when you came to Spartan.
Yeah. I just have a little shadow and look around, didn't I?
Yeah. So I don't know whether you know this, but I'd literally only just started Olympic lifting myself, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I was basically doing it for the members. That's something that I got into. I was training youth athletes, and I started Olympic lifting. I thought, wow, this is amazing. I loved it for myself. I loved the technique and how I could teach it. And I started teaching a few gym members, and we started running a little bit of a course. And Jack, who owns the gym, Jack Lovett, who owns the gym, says, oh, why don't we put together like a little course for the members? And, we'll say, yeah, awesome, great. And then I think I taught about 2 like programs, like a 4-week program. And then Jack came in one day and he says, oh, I've got another program. I've got some more guys coming in. I said, oh, amazing. He says, oh, the outsiders. And I was like, right, okay, I'm sure this wasn't the deal, but okay, then let's go with it. And he says, oh, they're quite experienced as well. I was just like, what? The experience? I said, I've done like 2 courses on this. He says, oh, well, you'll be fine. He literally threw us under the bus. And I was like, shit, like, I've just got to learn everything about it. And honestly, like, I watched all Will Fleming's DVDs. I was just so in. I must have sat for hours just watching them and studying them. I was reading books. I was just doing everything I could in Olympic lifting. And then you guys came in, and I mean, you were miles above what I knew. And it was just...
You wouldn't have been able to tell the way you delivered it, mate.
But the thing is, I just thought, I've just got to do the best I can, right? I just got to do the best I can. And I had so much fun on that course. And do you know what? I learned loads from yourself. And you were saying before, you were inspired by like coming to Spartan and what we were doing. But like, I had so much respect for you, and I didn't even know you before then. And I actually started following a lot of the work that you've done. And you were someone who I kind of looked up to with the Olympic lifting. And bear in mind, you came to me to help you. And I was I was actually miles behind, but like Colin, remember Colin who was on it? Like Colin, I see Colin now, and Colin still asks us questions about it, and he'll mention it.
Is that the lad from Durham University?
The lad from Durham University,
yeah.
One of the things that Jack says, he says, oh, there's a lecturer coming on to it as well, who's like really knowledgeable about sports science, and he does Olympic lifting. I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm like completely out of my depth here. Yeah. But the point was, it put me in a position to then actually learn it, and thought, you know what it is? It's, if I do it wrong, I do it wrong. It doesn't matter. But it didn't turn out how I expected. I was expecting to go completely like be embarrassed, and but we had a good bit crack. And then Colin says that he picked a few good tips up that he still uses now. So my point in the story is, any personal trainer who's thinking I need to be experienced first, like, you really don't. It's actually good to be put on the spot and just say, look, you're going to have to do this in like 3 weeks, because guess what you'll do? You'll sit up all night and you'll watch DVDs on it, and you'll read books just so you step up, don't you?
Oh, massively. You rose the challenge. You know what I mean? Like I say, I wouldn't have even been able to tell that you've only been doing it a couple of times, because it was class. And like I say, I learned a lot from it, and talking about systems, like how you delivered it and the way you delivered it and the system of the course. Like, although I had this sporting background behind us, the business models of how to deliver things to paying clients, paying members, was alien to me. So I think, like, sort of expanding on that, the reason I went around all these places was to learn from these gyms that were doing all that stuff really well. And I'd like to think I've got quite a good relationship with a lot of gym owners and a lot of guys from around the Northeast, because I've never been afraid to go and see what they're about, what they're doing, and say, I'm here to learn from you. So it's you should never. The fitness industry is massive, isn't it? We don't all fight over the same piece. I get around and sort of. Yeah, the rain.
Is that the rain? Is it the rain?
Yeah, it's the rain. So it's. I've always enjoyed going in and doing courses in other gyms and learning from things. I did a weightlifting course at CrossFit Northumbria. I've got amongst it. I think I came back to Spartan when Clock Off was there. and did the
Right.
course there. Like, you know, I'm never shy of throwing myself into someone else's domain and having a little see what they're about, because whether it works or it doesn't, you're always going to learn something from it, innit? Whether it's to do it like that
Yeah.
or do it like that. So it's
That's the thing. I think you can learn something from everybody. It doesn't matter what their experience is. There's always something that you could learn from it. And I think a lot of coaches miss that point in the game when you say collaboration as opposed to competition. You know, it's a fitness industry, right? It's everybody in the world needs to do some form of health and fitness. You're not in competition with anyone. If you can collaborate with more people, you'll learn more. You'll build connections.
yeah. People buy, people don't know. If someone's come to train with you to learn Olympic weightlifting or to learn anything, it's because they've got some form of connection with you. Yeah, they could go and see anybody about it, but they've chose to try you. So, you know, you need to build on that connection with the person rather than try and sell your skills and brand your skills. It's more about being that personal. You know, they might like the way you teach it. They might have been taught by everybody, but they like the way you teach it. Like, first, I've been taught by Vika, Masabi, and Keith, and I've took the best bits and the worst bits of all of those guys, and I've tried to put my own spin on it. You know, I've learned something from all three of those guys. And I think I try to put my spin on the way they coach me or the way they coach their guys, and it's
But that's what
a
makes you unique,
generational
isn't
thing,
it?
isn't it? You know,
It is, but you build your own method. That's essentially what you're doing, isn't it? So bit from this, bit from this, bit from this, and you build your own method. You're not creating something from scratch. You're not saying, "Oh, this is the new way of Olympic lifting."
yeah.
It's like, "No,
And
this is how
why
you
wouldn't
Olympic
you?
lift." But
Yeah,
yeah,
why wouldn't you? Because they've all had success in their own way at what they do. So it's, you know, like Spartan is like a powerhouse in the Northeast when it comes to gyms, and they have their niche. So why wouldn't you want to see what they're up to? Because they're doing it really well. You might never emulate that, and you shouldn't really try to be them. But there's got to be things you can take away from all these guys, and how can I apply that into my own business, or how can I apply that into my own skill set? Because some of these guys, some of these gyms are doing what they do very, very well. It'd be silly not to.
yeah, absolutely. I think that's such an important point, that how you can just take things away from everybody, take away what you're inspired by, and how you can implement it yourself, because that makes it unique by putting loads of bits and making it your own. That's what makes it different, isn't it?
And generally, most of them are happy to share the information and talk about it. Me and Kev Walker from Model Health get on like that. I send him a message or ring him and ask him about something. He's more than happy to talk about it because he's proud of it. He's excited over it. You know, like he knows what he's doing is working, and he's happy to talk about it.
Yeah.
All you have to do is ask the question.
That's one of the biggest pieces of advice that I took away, and this was actually from Jack Lovett when I was working with Spartan with him. He had this personal trainer who was doing the TR. Basically, he was running the TRX course, and he had this personal trainer who was in it, and she was only doing it so she could go and emulate it in her own way.
Yeah.
And so I remember someone saying to him, says, why are you letting her do it? Because she's going to steal what you're doing. He's like, I'm not bothered. He says, we do it this way, and she'll not be able to copy the way we do because we do it. She can take what she wants from it and she can go and do it. And that's fine, but she'll have her own method. And when he said that, I was just like, do you know what it is? That's absolutely true. As long as you believe in what you're doing and you know you do your own unique way, then nobody can ever copy it. But you can help somebody else with theirs.
I love it when a PT or someone who's signed on a level one Olympic weightlifting course walks in the building, because I like to coach the lift, but then I'll go, right, the reason why I'm telling you to do that is because you're doing this, so the cues I'm going to use are this. And I like to put that spin on it. Like when you apply this to somebody, like I'll ask them, like, why am I asking you to do this? What can you think of that's might be going wrong? And it adds feathers to your bow as well as a coach. Like, I don't know, I just feel like if you have that wiped out mentality, you're always learning from someone. It's just going to benefit you, and it's going to benefit your clients, isn't it?
100%. Well, I want to touch on to just what we were saying before, because you started out as a PT. Now you have a business. Not so much what would you class yourself as now, but would you think you do more businessy stuff now? And how important do you think that is to actually adopt that type of mindset for your business?
Um, I wouldn't know what to call myself these days. I think I'm a bit of everything: cleaner, admin, receptionist. You're just a bit of everything, aren't you? I used to get really annoyed when my girlfriend introduced us to people as a PT, and I was like, I want a gym. So it's like, I used to get quite annoyed by that, but then I don't know, I don't think it bothers us anymore. I've kept on a few PTs, um, and it's always going to be part and parcel of the job, is it? It's where you sharpen your tools, isn't it? So I wouldn't know what I class myself as now. I think the hardest part has been learning the business side of it, the managerial side of it. Probably the biggest challenges I face are managing people, especially other self-employed parts of the business. We'll have self-employed personal trainers working here who are all very headstrong and all have their set ways of doing things and have their own sort of aspirations and what they want to achieve, and don't always line up with what kind of the gym is about. I think that's the biggest challenges. Is more the management side of like managing people and trying to keep everything fitting with sort of mission statement type thing. Everything I've come across, other than the gym floor stuff, has been a challenge because it's been the first time I've come across it. So a website, I didn't know how to edit and design a website or code things. Even operating a till, taxes, things like that. It's membership, direct debits, refunds, like everything like that. The first time you come across it, it feels like it takes so much longer than it should. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
The gym floor stuff you can do on your head with your eyes closed. Someone walks in and their knees are caving in on a squat. You're like, bing, 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 fixed. The error pops up. I mean, our website a couple of years ago started selling Japanese Viagra, and I didn't know how to stop it.
Did you make any money off it?
Nah, did I have? But we got banned from Instagram and Facebook, and they just totally blacklisted the website. Really? So I had to get a whole new domain name. Had to change everything like that, and it's just so yeah, I think you know what I mean. The administration, the back office type stuff. Every time you come across something new, even just designing and marketing, like social media is its own job these days, isn't it? Like
it is. It's a full-time job.
It takes so much time up, and it's frustrating because I like to sort of just write what it is. Just see as a window of essentially what we've just done in the gym today. Try to be as honest as we can. But it's not sexy, is it? It doesn't get the likes. And I did a business course during lockdown, and it was all about social media marketing and things like that. And half the stuff I just didn't agree with because we're not talking statistics, we're talking people. It's the guys that were running it were from sort of high manufacturing backgrounds and sort of KPIs and things like that. And I think I've never been about that. You don't really see many KPIs on our whiteboards in the offices. It's not so much you must sell this many memberships per month and all that sort of stuff. It's more about building relationships. We have sort of staff meetings about how to make someone feel special the first 60 seconds they walk into the building and things like that. It's more about being conscious as a person and as a coach, rather than seeing pound signs and efficiency and things like that. I think if you go too far that way, I mean, it must work because some of the guys who are doing it really well are just pulling away from everyone else right in the area. But I don't think I'm ever going to be that sort of ruthless when it comes to the business.
I suppose it comes down to purpose and what you want, doesn't it? Because like, if that's what you want, if you want that business that generates, multiple millions of pounds, then obviously that is the role that you need to take. But if that is not something that gives you purpose and helping the kids is, then your business model is run from a different purpose.
Yeah.
I suppose it's like a lot of coaches get into it because they want to, or they think they're going to earn loads of money straight away. And that's not the case. It takes, you've got to put the work in, like you have. You don't just wake up one day and have a facility which is full of people. You've got to work for it, right?
Oh, I earned more money as a PT at TW, and it was easy. Like I was PTing in the morning, heading down Oosburn, sitting outside the time bar in the sun with a pint, and then heading back in the afternoon and teaching a couple of spin classes. And it was not a drama. You just had to pay your rent at the end of the month, and it was quite easy. There was nothing to it really. So yeah, it's totally different now. where was I going with that? I did have a point. Yeah, I think purpose-wise, like you say, finding that why, that helps you when you're getting frustrated, when you're sort of concerned about the business. I think remembering why you did it in the first place does help push you on that little bit more. So our gym's based in my hometown. I don't know if I told you that, but it's in my hometown. And at the time we opened it, there wasn't really a lot happening. There was FSI, there was fitness rooms, but there wasn't really much going on. There wasn't anything down the coast. There wasn't anything, in some of the more affluent areas around where I live. So we could have dropped the gym in a bit more of an affluent area and probably made a lot more money. But no, pop the gym in my hometown, and we are trying to change the way Howden operates a little bit when it comes to, opportunity for these kids and for the young people, well, anyone around Howden really. So yeah, I think it's never going to be a millionaire gym, I'm happy with that because it's making a bit of a difference in its community. I don't need a lot of money to live. I live within my means, and I quite enjoy what I do. I've got quite a good little social life within the gym, and it's remembering that when you are stressing about bills and things like that, just makes that a little bit easier, doesn't it?
That's it. I think there's that thing, isn't it, where people think they need to have all this money to live the life that they want, and that's going to make them happiness. But actually, if you create happiness first with the life that you've got, work for the things that give you purpose, work for the things that you can wake up in the morning and know that you're making a difference.
Yeah.
And then, if you could be happy, then money becomes a byproduct. And then if it's a case, well, actually money is an issue now, then you can work on more focus on that, whatever you need to do. It gives you the avenue to then explore, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you've got to consider in some cases, we are the most consistent thing in people's lives, and especially in COVID. That constant little checkup and that constant little accountability, it goes a long way for some people, especially kids. And I'm not trying to be stereotypical here, but kids from broken homes, and we'll come from an area where it's common, broken homes, single parents. Having that consistent person in their lives who's constantly picking them up and being positive around them, it makes a massive difference. They're literally scratching at the door after school to get in, and it picks you up a little bit. You could be having the worst day, and then a troop of kids come belting around the corner from school, screaming and shouting, buzzing to be there. You just can't not be in a mood, can you? It's just like, bang, right, come on, showtime. It's
priceless, isn't it?
Exactly. People don't get that. People don't get the affirmation every day from their job. Like say a teacher, for instance, what they do is very meaningful. They're providing growth for these kids. You only get to see that once a year when the GCSEs come in. They only really get to see what they've produced that once a year. We get to see it week in, week out. It's just pure happiness, isn't it? I think that's what I love about it. And you shouldn't be ever afraid to accept that pat on the back, by the way. Like a lot of coaches feel a bit weird about accepting sort of praise or pats on the back and things like that. Like, if it gets you out of bed the next day and you do the same for the next person, then accept that sort of praise or accept that pat on the back. Or if you're feeling good about doing something, well, then just enjoy it. Don't feel like weird about it or say I don't deserve this because it's someone else. If it's driving you to make other people feel better, take while you can get it.
Put good in the world and good comes back. That's what I believe.
Exactly.
Whether that kind of happens in 5, 10, 15, it doesn't matter. If you're putting good and you're helping other people in life, then you get the same back in time.
The big thing that keeps swirling around my head is legacy. Are we going to lay the foundation of a pathway that's going to be here for years to come? I see some weightlifting clubs. I mean, Ashton Parkhead have got a barbell from the East Berlin Games. Like, that's insane. Where's NTB going to be in 50 years? Where's it going to be in 5 years, let alone that? But what we've created here, is it going to carry on? You'd like to think so. You see some of these weightlifting clubs like Crystal Palace and Atlas, and the Emily Campbell, who's just won a silver medal for Britain, first ever female to do it. Her coach is 80-odd-year-old, and he's been doing this for some time. Cyril Martin, you know what I mean? He's unbelievable. So it's where does the legacy lie? And I think that's that's a big motivator for me.
It is. And
are these kids going to be lifting and or where's it going to go? Even when I'm dust, I'll be
That's the
buried
thing.
under the platforms.
Oh, we're lifting on Steve today.
Yeah, this platform's called Steve.
But that's the thing, like people think of legacy and they think, oh well, I don't want to have this big enterprise, and it's not about having an enterprise, is it? Look at his name just completely popped out my head, and COVID. The guy, man, the old guy, the 100, what's his name? Who done the walk for COVID. What mine's Sir
Oh yes, Tom. Sir Tom. What's his name?
Mine's gone completely blank.
Sir Tom.
I'm going to have to Google it. I can't believe I can't remember that.
We did the bloody workout for him.
Tom Moore. Sir Tom Moore. How did I remember that? I was thinking of Tom Jones. Tom Jones is a flipping singer. Sir Tom Moore, like he was 100 years old. And obviously he's achieved a lot in his past. You know what I mean? He's achieved all those things. But he's always going to be remembered for what he'd done. His legacy was when he was 100. And then he died not long after that. But the point is he's left something in the world. He's left some inspiration in the world.
Yeah.
I think that is such a powerful thought for a lot of people to think, like, what am I leaving here if I'm to go, what am I leaving?
And can you ever measure the ripple effect that man's going to have on certain lives? You know what I mean? Like, it's unmeasurable. That like what he did, you're never going to see the end of that. People are constantly talk about it, remember it, and I remember it'd probably be taught in schools at some point when people are talking about COVID. It'd be surprised if he doesn't get a mention.
It'd be one of those things that like it's a legendary tale, isn't it? It's going to be this, in COVID, this guy done this, and this is what you can learn from that. And exactly what you're saying, it'll be taught to kids. And if you ever feel down on your luck, or you ever feel like you kind of can't achieve something, this guy was 100.
Exactly.
This guy was 100.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes, that's a big one. That's a big one. British weightlifting have really helped with that in sort of how to lay the foundations of what a good club looks like, in the sense of, is a good club going to last type thing. So what are you doing to build the next generation of coaches, not just lifters? How are you then turning them into coaches? How are you sort of involving parents and things like that? So British weightlifting have played a massive part in that, to help sort of make the club what it is. So for whatever reason, the clubs were probably more solid than what the gym was during COVID. And I remember saying this, like, for whatever reason the gym fails, we've just got to damage control the clubs and make sure we lift them and shift them. I remember putting a play out when I was panicking to say if push comes to shove, would anyone house it? And like I was saying before about having a good relationship with a lot of gym owners, the amount of people that stepped forward and went, we would have the weightlifting club in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? So it's
that's amazing.
It's nice to see that it would be safe. For whatever reason, Unique Fitness did fail, which I thought about during COVID. You know what I mean? What would happen to the clubs? Yeah, that's a big motivator. I don't think I'll ever let NTB fall. One of them.
So what legacy then? Because one of the questions I was going to ask is, what was the future for you? But what legacy do you want to leave then?
I think I just want to make it easier for people to sort of try these sports. We touched on this before about the Olympics, about it being a subscription event. Like it really, really winds me up when things are taken away from, especially kids who deserve it.
Yeah.
Like why shouldn't the world be allowed to watch the Olympic Games for free? A lot of athletes that are going to these games are generally funded by taxpayers. So it's in lottery funds and things like that. So why should they then have to pay extra to a company that probably doesn't put into any of these government systems a subscription and then watch these things? I remember growing up with the Olympics being on the telly, just sat with my eyes like this, watching it, thinking, oh my God, and then go and trying it on the field with your mates, like backflips out of trees and stuff like that. It was one of them, didn't it? It inspires generations.
Yeah.
Hence why we have continuous games, because someone will watch that games, go and try that sport and be the next Olympian. how many kids didn't get that opportunity this time because they couldn't afford to watch it, or they didn't have Sky or Eurosport or Discovery Plus. It's, probably shouldn't name them, but it's one of them, isn't it? It just rattles you, and I think that's probably my biggest motivator as well. Like, our prices reflect that. We obviously need money to keep the place afloat, but our prices reflect, what's the word? Inclusion. Trying to not make it trying to include everyone, regardless of where you're from, what you do, money wise. It's I try to reflect that as best I can. Normally to my detriment, but I try to make it as inclusive as possible. I don't like saying no to people. I don't like saying no to kids and things like that. So we've got all sorts of setups just to get people to have a try of it. And coming off the back of it, we've seen some absolute stars. One of our best female weightlifters came off the back of a course we ran at a local college, which was aimed at PE dodgers. Just girls that sort of always forget the kit and don't really do PE. She's now trialing for the Northern Development Squad camps and things like that. So you never know where these kids are going to lie. You've just got to sort of throw yourself out there. We do a lot of outreach work with schools and colleges and stuff like that, and I very rarely accept payment for them because, I'm always like, well, we don't know what this could produce. Let us help you, and in turn, hopefully it'll help us. Yeah, I think legacy-wise, it's just inclusion.
Inclusion.
Yeah. How can we make sport more accessible to kids around the gym? How can we open the doors up to more sports? How can we get kids be more active? Tackling also. Like I say about these ripple effects, it goes to a greater scale, doesn't it? When you're talking about like obesity rates and that's the word I'm looking for. Like crime rates and things like that. So antisocial behaviour. We're right next to a park where kids kick hell out of each other all the time. And then the boxing coaches will have a little wander over and say, well, do you want to try and learn how to do it properly? And then they'll come in and punch hell out of each other in the ring instead. So it's all about that sort of stuff. Like, if we weren't here, how different would it be? What would this estate look like? What would the kids that are normally here, what would they be doing? It's all about that for me, I think.
That's amazing, because I think, like, everybody I'm saying everybody who I get on the podcast doesn't actually mention money. They mention purpose and the deeper driver, what gets them motivated. Money is a weak driver. Like, if you just focus mainly on money, you might make loads of it, but it's a weak driver. It doesn't really give you any fulfillment. It could definitely give you the lifestyle that you want. Depending on that lifestyle that you want. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different lifestyle. Not a lot of people want that, the millionaire lifestyle or whatever it is. But if you can work on what you were saying there, use purpose, you can make that kid a little bit different, give them confidence, and like that gives you purpose, doesn't it? And that's just going to expand over the years. You're going to touch more lives. And now you're involved with it's a Team GB you're involved with now, isn't it? Like Olympic weightlifting.
Yeah, the development pathways, yeah.
And you start off as a bad boy who didn't even have a license.
I was getting lots of things wrong.
But now you're in that, so you're making an impact into that, and you don't know where that's going to go in 5-10 years time. You could go anywhere, couldn't you?
Exactly.
You don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know what opportunities you're going to have. But the fact is, you are creating yourself those opportunities because you're putting yourself in the position to meet other people and have those opportunities.
Yeah, you just see where things, like what happens. Like, don't say no to stuff. Go and try. It might be a ball ache. It might cost you a little bit of money. Go and try something. Get stood in front of your local school. Go see what the college is doing, or get amongst stuff and get in front of people that you might not necessarily have ever worked with, and good things will come from it. I mean, we have all sorts. We've got veterans agency groups that come in here. We've got special needs schools that we'll work with. We've got Percy Headley, like all these sort of different demographics of people or special populations. At the time when we first tried it, we hadn't a clue what was going to happen, but we researched it, we studied it, we've given it a try, and we've learned from it. And half the kids are just thankful that they've been given an opportunity. the first time I worked with someone with cerebral palsy, I didn't really have a clue what it was about. I'd studied it, I'd read up on it, but they were genuinely thankful that just give them an opportunity to try. Other PTs had turned them down, other gyms were a bit, funny about them training there. And it's just give someone a try, and you never know what may come out of it. Then you have someone who's invested in you, invested in the gym because you give them an opportunity. God knows how they're going to pay that forward. But touching on money, though, I think if this is designed for people who are in the industry, I think it's important that you are sustainable. No charity can do the good work it does unless it's paying for itself. So, you have to be sustainable. I've got Arnold Schwarzenegger's rules, 6 rules for success painted on the wall here. And there's a reason why rule 6 is give something back, and why it's the last rule, because you have to get there first. Like, it's great to be this honorable, admirable white knight of a person who wants to help everyone and be charitable. But if it's been detrimental to you financially, your health, and your relationships personally, it isn't going to last. And then you're only just going to let these people down. I'm able to sponsor these athletes, and I'm able to give my time up for free for these kids and things like that because we're sustainable. We weren't always, we did have to make money first. So I think that's really important to note,
Yes.
Don't just jump in 2-footed and go, I'm going to do everything for free and going to be this charity guy. You need to be able to look after yourself first. There's the whole glass half full type thing. If you're drinking from an empty cup, you're not going to be able to support anyone else, are you?
That's the thing. You can't give what you haven't got, can you? But the thing is, I suppose our motivators is, if I can do this, earn this, then I can give this. Then if I earn this, I can give this. And if I earn this, I can give this. And it's like steps, isn't it? And exactly what Arnie says on your 6 rules, give someone back, is the reason why that's number 6, because you have to do that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The reason why it's grew each time is because we've had that attitude of when we've achieved something, you then look back and go, right, how can everyone else around us achieve the next thing? Mm-hmm. So when one of the clubs achieved club mark status, right, let's emulate that model to the other clubs and show them how to do it. So then they all rise, and then they're all now equally as accessible to funding and things like that. So it's a case of achieve something, look back, how can you give back? Achieve the next thing, look back, how can you give back? If you're just blinkered going forward, which sometimes you have to be a little bit selfish, if you're just blinkered moving forward, you're going to turn around and you're going to be the only one there. It's going to be a bit lonely, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And that's the thing. You've got to have that metric as money as a target as well, in terms of a metric to measure it by, because you've got to be able to measure it. You can't just measure putting good into somebody's life. So you have to have that money as a metric to then watch your business grow, but at the same time that allows you to give more. That's the way I see it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, you're right. The metrics, I mean, they're quite simple for us. It's all about participation numbers and things, like getting kids into certain sports, getting them to compete and things like that. So it is again, everything's a numbers game, isn't it? We're looking at the club as a whole. How many members are competing? How members are just doing it recreationally? And then a lot of funders now are starting to look a little bit deeper than that and into more case study stuff. So you go, right, out of these groups, what demographics do I have here? And again, a little bit annoying. It's a little bit political, and I can see why the funders are doing it. There's a lot of boxes you have to tick now. They sort of go, right, how many of these athletes are, from BAME backgrounds? How many of these athletes are from less fortunate backgrounds? And I hate doing this sort of stuff. I hate sort of putting these people into boxes to tick things so that we can receive grants or funding and things like that. It's not a nice part of the job, but it's starting to look really deeper into it, like how many of these kids have special needs, how many of these kids are, have disabilities and things like that. And it almost becomes a focus point. You start going, right, well, I'm going to receive more money if I've got more disabled kids in my club.
But I suppose on the same side of that, it's like, I know that's not a great way to think of it, but it's the same side. I could help more.
But that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, there's
reason, there's purpose for everything, isn't there? So
yeah, as long as you don't make it dangerous, people. Like just try to get more in for the sake of getting more money. It's like we could manage an X number of people, that would give us more money, but it means we can give more back.
Oh, totally. Yeah, like the amount of range of people I've personally worked with in the last 6 years has been crazy. You know, I've learned a lot on the job, and it's just opened my eyes to the possibilities in sport if you're willing to try. You know what I mean? If you're willing to say, yes, I'm going to give this guy a go, or I'm going to, go and learn about this and see where it takes us. I went and sat in on some Paralympic sports seminars and courses and things like that, and it just blew my mind. Like some of the things these guys are doing and what they have to overcome just to even participate in sport. I mean, the classification of Paralympics is like insane. There's tests they have to go through to prove where they belong in sport. It's unbelievable.
But what they do is just, the ability is just phenomenal. Like, and you can look at the Olympics and say, like Jessica Ennis is an amazing athlete. Usain Bolt is an amazing athlete. But then you look at somebody who is, not as fortunate, but they're competing at that level, and you're just like, that is just mind blowing, isn't it?
That is, isn't it? Absolutely. Yeah, it's great. We've got a young lad in at the moment who is an amputee, lower limb. And, some weeks I think I wish I had 10 of them because he's just there. You know what I mean? Like, he's got it up there, and obviously because of that trauma, he's a lot more robust than those kids who haven't had that trauma. But it's a horrible thing to have to go through to then have that mindset. But you just think he's got it. You know what I mean? He's got something special. So it's
there's two ways to go, isn't it? You become the victim or you become the victim. It's just like, do you know what? This has happened for me, not to me, because it's happened for me. I'm going to make the most of it. This has happened, so I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to become the best I can be. I think that's an amazing mindset, especially a 10-year-old.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy, absolutely crazy, and it just sets the bar, doesn't it? Because then, what you would consider able-bodied kids, they see this happening and they think, well, if they can do it, I can do it, and then it just brings the whole group up, doesn't it?
It does, absolutely.
If you're in the right environment, even the most, horrific of things can be a positive if you allow it to be, or if you create that environment. Yeah.
Exactly. If you can create that inspiring environment, then that is what the kids are going to get, isn't it? So what advice would you give to somebody who's just come into the industry? If a personal trainer just come in the industry and you give them one bit of advice, what would it be?
Yeah. Get yourself out there. Don't stand still in one spot. See what's around. See what's in your area, what's happening. Meet people, network. And don't be afraid to network. Don't be afraid to walk into any gym and just explain exactly why you're there. Like, I'm here to see what you guys are about. I'm here to learn from it. And just quickly find your why, like we were talking about before. Like, understand what drove you to do it. And it might change. You might think you know why you're doing it, and then you might change your mind later on. But as long as you have something to really fall back on and understand that's why you're doing it, then it's going to help in the darkest days, isn't it? And so, yeah, get amongst it, get out there, and always have that. It's like that. What's that? They use Apple as a example, where Apple doesn't really have to sell anything, because we all know why Apple is so good, because they just show how good they are. They don't explain how good they are.
We buy into the culture, don't we?
Yeah. So I think if you like that, understand why you're doing what you want, believe that you have value, then people will gravitate to it, won't they?
Yeah, I always think of it as a way of belonging. And I think, you just find people who you work with and you just feel like you belong. And Apple's the same thing, isn't it? It's like you belong to that brand. Some people don't. Some people just can't connect with it. Some people just use it and just like, this is where I belong. I belong to have an iPhone or an iPad and all these things. You just feel like you belong somewhere.
Yeah.
And that sometimes takes exploration.
Yeah. Nobody's ever begged you to buy an iPhone, have they? It's like, it's just one of them things. And I think, obviously they're the pinnacle of it, but if you're able to do that, if you're able to sort of, I don't need to explain how good I am, I'm going to show you why I do this, or why I think I'm going to be able to help you. And people started to buy into that. People started, well, actually, he's keen. He's passionate about this, and it's yeah. I'm not going to explain what I do. I'm not going to show you how I'm going to do it. I'm going to tell you why I am what I am. So it's people buy into that.
That's it. People buy your why. And it's what I say to people all the time. People buy why you do it. They don't give a crap that you've got an 8-week program that costs them whatever it costs. What they care about is why you do it. Like, I do this because of this reason. And then you get passionate by it. And people are like, wow, I want to work with this guy or this lady. Or
I don't think anyone's ever asked me to see my qualifications. We've got them on
one
the
person
wall.
asked me.
Yeah, we've got them on the walls, but like that's because that's a standard. We have to. But as a PT, nobody ever asked if I was an actual PT. I wore a little badge that said DW, and that was it. Like nobody cared. Like what's it to say? Nobody cares what you know. They just want to know that you care, type thing.
That's the thing. They really, really don't care. I remember when I very first opened my gym, there was one guy came in. He says, he walked in, all the facility was done, it was all set up, and he says, what qualifications you got? And I said, well, I've got like a degree and I've got my personal training. He went, awesome, I'll sign up. And he was the only person in my whole life who's ever asked us for any qualifications. And to this day, I still don't know why he asked us.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like he was coming as a coach, he was coming to join my gym. It wasn't just...
Yeah, I remember when we're going through all the standards of like club stuff. You know what I mean? As a gym, we don't necessarily have to have the stuff up on the wall. But as sports clubs, we'll have to have stuff on the walls just to show it's like an IOSS standard. So when we first did that, I think you had the odd person that sort of had a little look at it, and but it just gets walked past most of the time. You just think, oh.
Because people care about the result that you can get them. And I think that's the biggest thing, and that's what people care. People don't care what you've got. They care that you care about them and you can get them a result.
Yeah, definitely.
I've got one more question for you, Steve, and this is what I ask everybody on the podcast. I'm always intrigued by people's answers with this. So it's interesting you said before about creating opportunity, and I think that's a really big part of your beliefs. So this podcast is very much about that, about creating opportunity, freedom, and growth for people. But what does freedom mean to you?
I've only just started experiencing it. Nah, I think the saying, love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life. It's massively true. My granddad said it's slightly different to us. So my granddad kind of helped a little bit with getting this off the ground before he passed away. And he used to say, find your passion and you'll forever be formidable. And it resonates with me that, like, I'll always be good at what I do as long as I'm passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think freedom comes with that. I'm not tied into, I don't want to answer to anyone. I'm accountable to my members, but I've got freedom in the sense that I enjoy this, so I'm not ever forced to do it. I come in every day, raise the shutter, and it's been showtime, it's go time, let's go. So freedom to me is just being able to do something that I repeatedly love. I don't know how to explain it. Like I say, I feel like I'm always going to be good at it as long as I'm in love with it. And that's that's a massive feeling about feeling a bit like being free. It's quite a sense of entitlement. I don't have to go and sit at a desk for 10 hours a day and, hate myself and live for the weekend and all that sort of jazz. I can get
kind of freedom to be who you want to be.
Exactly, yeah. I get to express myself and, show these guys what I've done and what I'm passionate about, and then people run with it and put their own spins on it and do it. So it's, I don't know, I feel quite free. I feel like I could walk away from it at any time if I really wanted to. I don't feel tied down by anything. Mm-hmm. I don't really know how to answer that. It's a tough one. I'm going to have to think about that one.
It's awesome. But thing is, you've explained it well, because that's what it means to you at this particular time. Thing is, freedom means different things for different people, and it'll change. And it does change as people progress in life. They find something else maybe that they don't feel as free with, so they'll work on that. Like, it could be emotional freedom, could be time freedom, could be financial, creative freedom. Like for me, one of the biggest freedoms I found was creative freedom. Was the fact that I can do the thing I want to do and be creative with it. I've never had that before because I was tied into a job that I hated. And I actually, by breaking that, I found some creative freedom, and that was game changing for me. But that changes as it goes. I still want that, and I still want other things as well. But
yeah, it's crackers, isn't it? Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, it will change. Like, you know, eventually I'm going to have a family at some point, and I'm probably going to want to be free from the gym, and then in turn be free from the kids and come back to the gym. It's one of,
I was going to say, you think you've got no time now when you have kids?
Yeah,
you really have no time.
It's crackers. So yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like I feel like I'm at a point in my life where I'm just in the mix, loving it, still riding the momentum. Just, you know, like I was saying to you before, COVID's kind of relit that momentum again. Probably was a little bit stale before that, you know. If I'm honest, so it's
But it's rejigged it up, hasn't it? It's give you a chance to, you know, I suppose the biggest word used in COVID, pivot. You know, whether that's a change of mindset or it's a change of the business, it doesn't matter what it is. It gives you a chance to reflect and then go, do you know what? Maybe you just need to do this, engage with that fire again.
It's totally changed the dynamics of gyms. I don't know if any other gyms have realized this, but a lot of people are sort of appreciating health a lot more. And they've generally, like, a lot of people have got more freedom now from working from home. So sort of what you would consider our peak times are totally different now. You know, the morning crew before going to work isn't so busy anymore. It's the daytime and the dinner time, those who are like working from home and having a bit more flexibility and things like that. So it's all new at the moment to us, considering what we're used to.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today, Steve. That was an amazing interview. Thank you.
It's been class.
Really appreciate your insights and your honesty, as always. Great. I'd love to bring you on again sometime. But thank you for being here today. Oh, just before we go, how can anybody that wants to check you out, how can they get in touch with you? How could they find you?
Probably the easiest way would be www.uniquefitnessnortheast.co.uk. But again, on all social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Unique Fitness Northeast. You'll find across all those sort of channels. And then the clubs are linked via that as well. So if you hit the bio, you'll be able to see all the other clubs that will run as well.
Awesome. Well, I'll add you in links to the show notes. So anybody wants anything, just go on and click the links and find you there. But thank you for being here today.
Brilliant, mate. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Take care, buddy.
Thank you for listening today. If you got some value from this, then please play it forward to someone else so they can continue to improve their life, expand their awareness, and use these tools to help them grow. So make sure you copy and paste the link and share with a friend who you think would find it very interesting. If this is your first time here, please hit the subscribe button right now on Apple Podcasts or whatever platform you're listening from, and leave us a rating or review, because every time you get a rating or review, it helps us improve the quality of the show. But more importantly, it helps us spread our message to impact more lives and help more people. And that's what I'm all about, impacting more lives so we can grow and be successful in our own right. So thank you for sharing your time with me today. And remember, everything that has happened so far in your life has led you here. You have a mountain of value right beneath your feet that you can use to impact the lives of others. This is your superpower. And as always, don't be afraid to think differently and never give up on your dreams.